How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. Today I want to talk to you about so many different things. This is going to be a great video. We're talking about new economic data that came out just today, talking about BlackRock and Fidelity taking a big bet on Stablecoin. We're also taking a look at Kevin O'Leary, what he says about regulation in crypto, and three different cryptos that I don't talk about too often at all. One is XRP. One is a crypto that I actually bought a while ago, and it's really my only pure metaverse play, and that's Phantasma. So if you hold Phantasma, you'll want to stay through to this because there was a recent hack. And then I also want to talk about just the state of the market. So if you guys don't mind hitting the like button and subscribe button, that way you can get future videos. I really do appreciate that. I think about half the audience is not subscribed. So hit subscribe so you can see the future videos. Also, if you do want to know what I'm buying and selling on a daily basis, you guys can check out the link underneath the video to the Patreon. I've been mostly DCAing into a couple different places, but I also give daily updates when the market opens and when it closes on what is happening, some of the big news in the market. So definitely check out that link to the Patreon underneath the video. There is a discount if you pay for a year. I do want to talk about Phantasma later, like I said, and one of the only places to buy it is Kucoin, and they're now a partner of the channel, so I want to talk to you about Kucoin. Now, I've had so many people ask me where to actually buy Phantasma because it's not available on a lot of the exchanges. The easiest place to get it is Kucoin. Now, I have talked about this in videos before, but now I actually work with Kucoin, and this is by far the easiest place to buy it. They're actually giving you up to $500 bonus when you sign up with the link underneath the video. And something that I really like about Kucoin, besides just the fact that they have smaller tokens like Sol, is the fact that they have some of the lowest fees out there. I know I say that a lot, but the fact is, I thought Binance was low in fees because it's 0.5%. Kucoin is 0.1%. So you barely notice it when you're buying and selling. It takes a little bit of getting used to because you have a main account, then a trading account, but it is pretty easy after you get used to it. You just transfer the assets from the main to the trading, then you trade, and then you can move it back to the main. So it's a great way of keeping maybe your trading portfolio different than your long-term buy and hold portfolio as well. So if you guys want, there is that link underneath the video to sign up and get up to $500 worth of bonus when you start depositing, and you can start buying cryptos like Phantasma down there. Now, the overall market looks pretty good today. Bitcoin's at 40,600. Actually, the whole crypto market's pretty far up, which is a good piece of news because we actually got pretty poor economic data today. Now, I will say we bounced off a couple key support areas. You can see this trend line that we had going back into June of last year, and we bounced off of it several times. It bounced off yesterday around 39,200. We also have the 600-day moving average just underneath it. If we broke through this trend line, I would assume that we would fall back to this about 38,400 or so. But right now we're actually looking quite positive. So I'm pretty happy with it right now, considering the fact that we just had the producer price index rise a significant amount. It rose 11.2% from a year ago. And this is what is measured by wholesalers. This is what they pay, the increase in price that they pay, compared to CPI, which is the consumer price index, which is what we pay. So this is oftentimes a leading indicator for CPI. That makes sense, right? The price that the producers have to pay then gets passed on to us later. So prices for final demand goods led with a 2.3% monthly raise, while services prices gained about 0.9%. Now, this is the highest amount that we've seen in a very long time, and this was much higher than what people expected. On a monthly basis, the gauge climbed 1.4% above the 1.1% Dow estimate, and also a record. So this is not good, right? This is pretty negative news. Why is the market up on this? Maybe it's because it was priced in already. Maybe it's because people are seeing this and they're rushing to crypto because they know that's not inflationary. At least Bitcoin isn't very inflationary. Sometimes we see that right when the news comes out that people decide, okay, maybe I should put a little bit more money into Bitcoin. And sometimes that's short-lived. Sometimes it's not. But at this point, I'm just happy that that we have some money in Bitcoin and something that's not so inflationary, because the inflation right now that we're seeing is incredible. It's a huge amount of inflation. Also, we did get news that Terra just bought another $100 million of Bitcoin. They just continuously buy. I mean, they've been a little bit more cautious, I think, on price because they lost a decent amount. Like the cost basis is pretty high for them. But you can't be too picky when you're buying hundreds of millions of dollars of Bitcoin at a time, and you need to get to a certain point because that's what you promised. They can't be too price sensitive, which is why I think they continuously are buying now. They still have over $1 billion left to buy. It's not exactly pumping up the market for the most part now. It was at the beginning because there was a lot of excitement about it, but now it's just taking a lot of crypto off exchanges and making it just so that this is locked up. This is just locked up, denying a whole bunch of people a lot of Bitcoin in the future. Maybe this was the news that actually pumped up the crypto market today. We also got news from the Grayscale CEO that they are working proactively with the SEC to convert GBTC into a spot Bitcoin ETF. Now, this would be huge news. Obviously, we've talked about it so many times, but this would be fantastic. And I think it is good to hear that they're actually working with the SEC. They're not just submitting a proposal, hoping that it gets approved, and then it doesn't, and then they just submit a new one. Apparently, they are actually walking hand in hand with them, trying to get this to work. And they would make the most sense to have one of these ETFs because of how much crypto they actually hold. And then we do have some open interest graph to show. So this is the highest buildup of open interest relative to market cap. You can see a spike recently in open interest. Now some people are saying, okay, is this short? Is this longs? What is this? Well, you have to remember that for all open interest, there's a short and a long. So every short has a long, every long has a short. This just means that there's a lot of aggression and a lot of potential energy really built up right now. So we could see explosive moves, which we have not seen in a long time, it seems like. Remember when we were getting like $4,000 or $5,000 swings in a day about a year ago? We haven't seen that recently, which for some people that's a good thing because we're not seeing $4,000 or $5,000 drops. But for a lot of people that want to make money short term or want to see the market get a little bit more exciting, this open interest spiking will probably help that down the road. We can also see that there's a lot of aggression in the fact that there's a lot of leverage in the market. When we look at what was considered high leverage a while ago when we were seeing shakeouts, it was around 0.2 estimated leverage ratio. Now we're around 0.25, which is a level that isn't even on this graph. We haven't seen it in years, 3 years plus at least. So there's still a lot of people betting pretty heavily on crypto one way or the other. Now, we did get some positive news, or some cool news, I think, from Argentina. A town is going to invest in crypto mining to fight inflation and upgrade infrastructure. And we're seeing more stories like this all the time where some country or some city or some group of individuals is trying to take advantage of this. They're purchasing graphic cards. They're going to be buying a mining rig in the near future. So it sounds like it's a small scale business right now, essentially. But what they do, or what they want to do, is create some monthly income for the town. And what they're going to do is they're not going to speculate on crypto. They're basically going to take it and sell it pretty quickly. And they say because they're not betting on cryptocurrencies, they're gonna think that this is a win moving forward. Now, we did get some news from BlackRock as well. We actually got some pretty big news. BlackRock, Fidelity, and others to invest $400 million in USDC stablecoins issuer Circle. They say our broader strategic partnership with BlackRock announced today will allow us to explore new cases where USDC may be an efficient resource in the financial services value chain. This is something we actually heard from Kevin O'Leary recently as well. I'll play a clip here in a second, but he talks about how USDC or some of these other stablecoins could be used if there's actual regulation on them. I think that would be really beneficial to a lot of people. I mean, think about if you could get, even if it wasn't 8%, let's say you could get 5% in one of your retirement accounts, just keeping money in cash or keeping it, I should say, in stablecoin, that could be huge. And you can see that this means that there's probably not going to be negative regulation if BlackRock and Fidelity are taking large bets on Circle, which is stablecoin. You can see that they are probably a lot more informed than we are, and that is a positive sign. Now, let's see what Kevin O'Leary has to say about this recently. He just talked about this last week.
The president himself, in his direct order, his executive order, talked about crypto as something that he wouldn't make illegal. That was the most important message in there. But there was also a concern about climate change, which I'll get to in a minute. Then there's BlackRock, the Larry Fink mandate that has discussed this sector as well, also a concern about ESG and climate change. Last night at 6 o'clock, Bill Haggerty dropped a bill. 2 pages. I spoke to the senator last night. A 2-page bill that would make stablecoins legal. This is a genius piece of legislature. If it's 2 pages, every senator can read it. And it's very simple. What this says is this. Why is this any different than a money market fund? Why can't we have a simple audit every 30 days with the underlying security inside of it, whether it be USDC or any other stable coin? And why can't we limit the duration of the asset to 12 months or less? And then why don't we let the market compete to provide stable coins, which are now way past $100 billion, and allow institutions to put this on their balance sheets? 2-page bill. There's a senator that wants to do business. I, of course, applaud this mandate because my own auditor won't let me and my operating company do anything with stablecoin because there's no regulation on it. So maybe the best way to approach this for all of us that are interested in crypto is to pick one pillar of value. And right now, I would argue that stablecoins are one of the fastest growing asset classes outside of Bitcoin, and help this become policy and law, and watch what happens. And the reason you should care is, if it's backed by the US dollar, it will become the reserve currency of the...
So I think he makes a good point there that after regulation comes in, a lot of large investors will come in as well. And I've talked to several large companies at the Bitcoin conference talking about this and talking about how they're working with the SEC to provide regulation and what this means. It means that there's going to be an opening of the floodgates and that tons of institutional money is going to come in, and that's not going to just help them. That's not going to just help the large companies. That's going to help you as someone that's invested early. And if they are lending and they are taking loans and there's a lot of money in this, that means that there's going to be more interest as well. For those that want to get interest on their cryptocurrency, a lot of companies can't engage in that yet, but when they can, you can actually get interest, probably higher interest on some of your interest accounts in crypto. Now, we also have some more negative news, I'd say. Phantasma, which is a crypto that I've talked about on the channel. And again, I buy that on Kucoin, link under the video. They recently had an incident where an attacker managed to mint additional KCAL, which is the energy token of Phantasma, and SOL tokens. SOL and KCAL smart contracts on Binance Smart Chain appear to be affected. It was discovered really quickly, within 20 minutes, and all cross-chain swaps were disabled 10 minutes later to reduce the impact of the incident. At this time, 500,000 SOL had been swapped from Binance Smart Chain to Ethereum, along with 20 million KCAL. I mean, that's a large amount because KCAL is a pretty small market cap, and it was selling at 5 cents at the time. That means they had about $1 million worth of KCAL. And at the time, SOL was a much larger market cap. So even though they got $500,000 worth of SOL, which is at the time about $600,000, SOL can be absorbed a lot easier. Now they have fixed this, it seems like, but the prices have fallen a lot. You can see Phantasma, the KCAL, I should say, Phantasma Energy fell 95%. 95%. Basically, the person got their hands on this $1 million worth of KCAL and just dumped it. You can see that right there. You can see the difference in volume. $800,000. They just dumped on the open market. It dropped the market 95%. The market cap is now under $100,000. I mean, just a ton of money. 95% just vanished. Vanished like that. Also, Phantasma was affected too. I mean, and at the time that they figured this out, it was on April 2, it was around $1.15. Now it's at 80 cents. Huge drop, like 30-40% drop. Now, Phantasma Energy actually got delisted from CoinMarketCap because there's not a significant amount of volume or activity now. So this is just not a good situation. I never invested in KCal. Now, a lot of people were super excited about Phantasma Energy. I'm not actively trying to buy the dip on Phantasma. I haven't bought Phantasma in a while just because I've been really focusing on Bitcoin. And even when I had Phantasma, it was only about 2% of my portfolio. When it was pumping up, it was a little bit more. It was maybe 4 or 5% because it did go up pretty fast. For a while, it was at about $4 or $5. Now it's fallen down a lot. But to be fair, a lot of other metaverse cryptos have fallen a lot as well. It had fallen about the same as the other metaverse cryptos at the time, but now with this hack, it's fallen down 30 or 40% more. Now, I'm not trying to sell it either because it sounds like this was largely taken care of. And also, there's just a general lull in the metaverse cryptos in general. So I'm not trying to go out of my way to sell at a loss. I think they probably will return. A lot of other chains have been hacked before too. You have to remember, this is still not a $1 million market cap. It's still in the top 500. It was about in the top 100 to 200 before. And you have to realize that most likely they will come back. They've learned from this and they will continue to grow. Now, I could always be wrong and they could fall to zero. And that's the risk that you take in crypto. That's why this is a small portion of my portfolio, a really small position now, but this is still a small position of my portfolio. And I always realized it was higher risk, which is just something you have to take on if you're trying to get, 10x, 100x gains. Now, moving on to another interesting crypto that I haven't talked about much, Ripple, XRP. Ripple claims a big win in SEC case. So they're trying to figure out what in the past made Ethereum labeled a commodity. They wanted to get the information on why this was. Why was Ethereum labeled not a security while XRP has been called a security? So they have been fighting this battle for a long time. This is a big win, I think, for XRP to actually figure this out, because then they can try to form their argument behind what happened in the past. They should be able to have this information, I believe, but SEC's always kept it really quiet. I think it's so that other people or other cryptos can't really try to get around this as well and try to make their case and really build up their defenses before SEC goes and tries to regulate. So I think we have to watch this more. I mean, I'm not the biggest Ripple fan, and I don't actually follow Ripple that much, but I would like to see Ripple win this SEC case because I think it sets precedence even further that the SEC can't just jerk people around in the crypto space. And I think it would be overall positive for all of crypto. I think it would make all of crypto pump up pretty fast. And for Ripple, I don't necessarily dislike Ripple. I just think there are better cryptos out there that aren't contingent on one court case, and we don't know how long this is going to take. Ripple's been really hurt by it in the past, and as more innovation comes to Bitcoin, even specifically like what Strike announced last week with Jack Mallers, there's going to be less and less use case for Ripple because there are going to be so many rails that are already built in crypto that Ripple becomes less relevant over time, in my opinion. Now, that doesn't mean that they can't go up a lot if they win this case. And again, I think the whole crypto market will go up. So it's just something to watch. I'm not trying to go out and buy XRP here today because of this. Also, Shiba Inu is now listed on Robinhood. A lot of people had been speculating behind this. Probably good for Robinhood stock because Robinhood, the company, will actually have a significant amount more trading revenue now from Shiba Inu. They make a good amount of their money from Dogecoin specifically and some other smaller cryptos that you can speculate on. Now, Shiba, I believe, pumped up on this news. It's up 3.3% today, but it's not like it's moving up super quickly. It did really well just a few days ago, though. And then I want to give a little update because I gave an update on this yesterday on Imposters Genesis Aliens. This is not a sponsor of the channel or anything. This is just an investment that I put money into. And I think it's interesting because I gave an update on this in my Ethereum video. I bought this for 1.75 Ethereum. Yesterday it was at 2.3, I want to say 2.3 Ethereum when I made my video. And almost right after I made that video, it went up to 2.6, then 2.7, 2.8, 2.9, 2.94 right now. And it's not because I made the video. I don't have that many people, I think, that actually invest in NFTs. But I think it was because they gave some news about staking. And this is interesting. I just find this whole experiment interesting. I'm going to hold on to this, but I just wanted to give a quick little update because it went up so significantly after my video yesterday. That shows you how volatile these things are, that they can go up 20, 30% within less than a day on pretty little news because they're just not very liquid. So just something to watch. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. This was a little bit of a longer video, but there's a lot of news, I think, to cover. Now, let me know your thoughts on all this underneath. Let me know what you think about PPI, XRP, Phantasma, and definitely check out the link down below to Kucoin, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.